As a perimenopause coach, there are very specific patterns that I see that are scarily accurate. And I can actually predict who is going to actually see results and who's about to be frustrated again. And I'm telling you right now, it has nothing to do with your hormones, and it has everything to do with these behavior patterns. Because these patterns that I'm about to reveal in today's live stream, these aren't about putting labels on you. This is all about habit loops. And when you're stuck in these habit loops, there's the same problem. You might have different symptoms with these 4 different patterns that we're going to be talking about today, but all of these patterns have the same problem. And the problem is this: you're putting in effort, you're eating healthy, you're trying to be consistent, you're lifting weights, but you're not seeing any fat loss, you're not seeing any muscle tone. You're putting in all this effort and your body is not changing. And that's the most frustrating part, is because it's not like you're not taking action. You're actually trying and nothing seems to be working. That's what we're going to be talking about in today's live stream. So here's what I want you to do is right now, I want you to download my free Leaner, Fitter You. This is a 2-part training that we did in this Facebook group. And with this 2-part training, you're going to know everything that you need to know in order to get lean and strong in perimenopause. Look lean, to have a toned physique, to actually see fat loss and muscle tone. So to grab that, you guys are going to grab that either in the show notes if you're listening to this on my podcast, or as soon as I'm done today with our live stream, I'm going to put the link to sign up for this free 2-part training. This is going to change everything for you. Because here is the reality, guys, is that it's not that there's something wrong with your metabolism or with your hormones. It's just that you need to do the right things, okay? And we need to be doing the right things consistently. So let's go ahead and break down these 4 patterns that are so scarily accurate. And I know if one of my clients is falling into one of these, they're going to struggle. And I'm going to tell you right now, guys, is that I have been in every single one of these patterns. And before we start diving into these 4 patterns, I want you to know a couple of things here. So first of all, again, this isn't about putting a label on you. This isn't about putting you in a box. It's about creating awareness, because the thing I want you all to do is to put in effort and not see the results that you want to see. There's nothing more frustrating than that. And not only that, we start to believe that we're broken, or that there's something wrong with us, or that we're just too old to change our physique. And that is not true. But the problem when we have this belief, we stop trying. So that creates a whole other issue, okay? So I want you to realize that this isn't about identity. This is about becoming aware of the behaviors that are keeping you stuck from seeing the results that you want. The other thing I want you to know is that you might see yourself in more than one of these patterns. It's absolutely possible to be stuck in 1, 2, 3, or even all 4 of these patterns, okay? Another scenario is that you might jump from one pattern to the other, and that's very, very common as well. But again, these are patterns that I myself have been through myself, and I was in multiple of these patterns, or I have been jumping around from one pattern to the other. And again, whenever you're stuck in these behavior loops, you're not going to get the results that you want. And it's really frustrating because you feel like you're doing everything, you've tried everything, and you're putting in all this effort and nothing's working. So let's break this down, because whenever you get clear about this, then you can start fixing this problem, and you're going to be able to get out of this behavior loop, and you're going to be able to start doing the things that are actually going to align with your goals. Okay, so let's go ahead and jump into these. So the first pattern that I see when it comes to women struggling with fat loss and getting toned in perimenopause is the chronic dieter. Okay, so with the chronic dieter, you probably have tried every diet. So you've tried Whole30, you've done Weight Watchers, you've done things like low carb diets, keto, you've tried intermittent fasting, and you're also either always in a calorie deficit, you're always trying to restrict calories, or you find yourself being on and off the diet. So it might look like this. You might be on the diet like at the beginning of the week, but by the weekend, you're completely off the rails. So you have a lot of highs and lows in your nutrition. Okay, so here's what's really happening here. If you find yourself always trying to restrict calories, what's really happening, why you're struggling with fat loss, even though you are in a calorie deficit, is because you can't be consistent. So, like I was mentioning just a second ago, if you're starting off the week restricting calories super low, you're probably going to feel deprived. So it's no wonder by the weekend comes, you want to fucking rebel. You want to be like, you know what? I've been good all week. I deserve a little something. That's what the language sounds like, okay? And whenever you have these highs and lows in your nutrition, even if you have low days, even if you have 1,300 calorie days during the week, it is absolutely possible to outdo all of that work by the end of the week. This highs and lows in your nutrition is putting you in a calorie surplus and is causing you to be stuck, okay? So it's absolutely possible to actually be in a calorie deficit, to actually put in effort with restricting your calories and making your portions smaller, eating off a smaller plate. But yeah, if you have these highs and lows, more than likely those highs are going to be enough to outdo all of your work that you're doing during the week when you are restricting your calories. So let me know in the comments if you're watching this live or in my Facebook group. Let me know if you have any questions about this, because I know this can get a little murky sometimes when we talk about this, but that is an issue. And the issue with this is that when you have these highs and lows, food noise just gets louder, right? Those cravings get louder. Then we feel guilty. We feel that shame because we fell off over the weekend. And that's when we start to find ourselves back in Monday. We're back on the diet, or we're trying a new diet, and the cycle continues over and over again. So yeah, you can find yourself in this cycle and still struggle with fat loss. Now, here's another scenario. Maybe you are consistent with a calorie deficit. Maybe you are tracking your calories, weighing your food, and you're actually being consistent. But here's the issue. There's still an issue with dieting all the time, okay? So I know for me, I've been here with being skinny fat. So for a long time, there was like a time just like 5 years ago, I was actually restricting calories for like a year and a half. And you know what that did to me? It caused me to get into this fat loss plateau where I couldn't get any leaner. And not only that, my body actually looked worse. Even though my weight was low, my body actually didn't look good because I was losing lean muscle mass, okay? This is going to back you into a corner. So even if you're already lean, this can be an issue as well because you're losing lean muscle mass. And muscle is what's going to make you actually look good. Okay. But not only that, you're going to get to a point where the only thing that you can do is drop your calories even more in order to see fat loss results. Okay. So you have two options at that point. You either restrict more, you drop those calories more, you exercise more or move more, or you go into what we call maintenance. And we're going to be talking a little bit about maintenance a little bit later. But guys, the issue with this is that if you just care about weight loss, that's one thing. But most people that just chase weight loss, by the end, they're not happy with the results, even if they get to their goal weight. Why? Because they don't have any muscle tone. And here's the thing. A lot of people think that you're going to look toned when you lose weight. Not always. If you don't look toned when you lose weight, that's really because you didn't take the time to actually build muscle. So losing weight does not always solve the issue of wanting to look toned. You have to have muscle in place before you even lose the fat, because it's not going to be there if you don't take the time to build muscle. And that's why that's another reason why we don't always want to be dieting, is not only because it can decrease your metabolism, it can literally slow it down to where you have to restrict more in order to lose weight. It also will decrease your energy, so this makes it even more challenging for fat loss to happen, because if you have low movement, then it really is going to make it hard to lose weight. You have to be active in order to keep that calorie deficit in place. It's going to make it a lot more easier anyway. So when you restrict calories long term, not only are you damaging your metabolism, you're slowing everything down, but your movement is also going to decrease as well. And you'll feel it too, because you're going to have decreased motivation to get up and move. You're going to have decreased motivation to do heavy weight training. And all of these things are really, really important. So the chronic dieter, this is what she actually needs. She needs moderation. A lot of times these people don't need more rules. They don't need more discipline, or they don't need to be more strict. Really what they need is just more flexibility. So for example, it might look like this: a modest calorie deficit instead of a steep one. Yeah, you don't need a steep calorie deficit to lose weight. In fact, a steep calorie deficit, like we were talking about, a lot of times that's really just going to cause these highs and lows with our nutrition, and that is what we want to avoid. You're going to have way better probably adherence if you have more of a modest calorie deficit versus a steep one, because you're actually going to be able to stick with it. In addition, a lot of times when people just try to like stay away from sweets, it sounds good on paper, but here's what I usually see happen. I've worked with a lot of women. I've worked with a lot of women aged 40 to 55 in my 16-year personal training career, okay? And I will tell you over and over again, 99% of the time when people restrict, like, oh, I'm just not going to eat any sweets, it just creates more food noise. You think about those foods more because you're keeping them off limits. And when you can't have something, guess what? We focus on it more. So all it takes is a shit ass day to say fuck it, and then have that thing that you're trying to stay away from. And a lot of times, if we're in this fuck it mindset, we're just going to eat our face off. And then again, this just puts us back to this vicious cycle of starting over on Monday, getting even more strict, telling ourselves that we need more discipline, doing another diet, only to do the same damn thing every weekend. Okay, so a lot of times it's not about more discipline, being more strict. A lot of times it's being strategic and doing things like putting cookies after your lunch, adding a couple of chocolates for dessert at night. Things like that, you would actually be really surprised how that can actually improve your adherence and your consistency. And that's exactly what we need. We need adherence. We need something we can actually stick to. And we also need consistency. We need to be able to do this over and over and give it time, enough time for you to actually see the results that you want to see. You also need the correct calories. So again, like we were talking about, it's not just about dropping your calories as low as possible. That will back you into the corner. It will backfire. You need to have the right amount of calories. So a modest calorie deficit is always going to trump a steep one for so many reasons, including keeping your metabolism healthy and responsive, and also keeping your movement and your motivation up, okay? And then finally, we need phases, okay? So the chronic dieter, I want you to hear me, okay? Staying in a calorie deficit is going to back you in a corner. It's going to cause a plateau. It's going to cause a lot of negative side effects that are hard to fix later. It's not impossible to fix, but I'm telling you right now, it's going to take work to get you out of this, okay? So that's why we have phases with our nutrition. So inside of my one-on-one coaching membership for women, Lean Physique, this is exactly what I lead my clients through. We have phases of fat loss that are planned out. We have a plan with meals that we can put on repeat, that are easy to prepare, that we actually enjoy. We have a calorie goal that is correct for our physiology and also our goals. And we have a timeline. And we also have a plan for what we do after the diet so we don't gain a bunch of weight back. And that's really important because, like I always say, fat loss isn't the hard part. The hard part is actually keeping it off and improving your physique by putting on muscle, which can really feel like a full-time job if you're 40 plus. So that's what we do inside of Lean Physique. We have a streamlined system, okay, for phases with your body composition, phases with your macros. So that way we're not only just like losing weight, but no, we want to look fucking sexy, don't we? Don't we want to look toned? Don't we want to look lean? Yeah. That's the look, because weight loss doesn't impress me, guys. Like, it really probably shouldn't impress you either. But muscle, that shit is fucking earned, okay? And that's what's going to make you actually look toned. That's what gives you that lean, tight, defined look. It's building muscle, having strategic fat loss phases, and learning how to actually maintain. There's so many people that are afraid of maintenance, but maintenance is where you can actually build muscle, you can build your metabolism back up, you can make your metabolism responsive back into a fat loss phase. And this changes everything for my clients inside Lean Physique. And it's changed everything for me too. So that's number one. So if you identify with the chronic dieter, pop a 1 into the comments. I really, really want to know, okay? I know I've been there. That's probably the one that kept me back the most, is being a chronic dieter. All right, so let's go on to the second pattern that I see when it comes to fat loss and building muscle, 40 plus. Okay, so this one is the but I eat healthy woman. All right, I've totally been here as well. There was a time where I struggled with fat loss, and I was so frustrated because I remember I even took out things like grains. I was eating very little dairy. I was obsessed with making sure I wasn't eating anything processed. I was wanting to eat all whole foods. I mean, it was just crazy how much restriction I had, but yet the scale would never move and my body wouldn't change. Why? Because I was focusing on being healthy and not focusing at all on calories. And I had zero awareness what was actually going into my mouth. Okay, so the but I eat healthy woman is someone who cooks at home all the time. She limits going out to eat. She makes healthy choices on the regular, but nothing ever changes. It's so fucking frustrating, isn't it? I fucking hate it because it's like, why should I like do Whole30 if like my body's not changing and like I don't even really feel better, right? So I'm not talking to the people that have issues with like dairy sensitivities or gluten. I'm talking about the people that are taking these foods out because they think it's going to make them healthier. When in reality, they actually want physique change, and eating for physique change is a little bit different than eating for general health. And I'm going to tell you right now, most of y'all don't need to cut out whole food groups in order to be healthy. I eat things like pasta, bread, those types of starchy carbs on a regular basis, and I actually eat them as part of my meal plan. It is actually very strategic, okay? So the issue with this is that you're making all of these changes to your nutrition. You are trying to be good, but yet your body is not changing, okay? So here's what's really happening. First, you have zero awareness. So most of the time, these people are not counting calories. They're not paying attention to portions. They're just eating whole avocados because they heard they were healthy, which avocados are healthy. But I'm going to tell you right now, a whole avocado, whoo, girl, that's going to set you back a lot. So this is why amount matters. It's not quality of diet. It's actually mostly quantity. And yeah, whole foods, there is some benefits to that. They're going to give you better satiation, so meaning you're going to feel more satisfied off your meals. You're probably going to feel less snacky, and you're probably going to get the nutrients that you need. But at the end of the day, if you're not watching your portions, yeah, you can gain weight off of any kind of food, okay? The other issue is bites, licks, and nibbles. Okay, so I call them, or bites, licks, and tastes, or BLTs. This can add up to a lot, guys. This is why I'm always like, when I first start working with someone, like, let's start tracking and not really like worrying about numbers, but I want you to get aware of those bites, licks, and tastes that are happening throughout the day, okay? That is enough, even with healthy food, to put you in a calorie surplus, making it hard for you to lose weight. And then finally, here's what's happening, guys. You have no structure, you just have food rules. And really all this does is create a lot of food noise, and this can really lead to all or nothing things like chronic dieting, that type of thing, okay? So here's what this woman actually needs. She needs awareness, so some kind of like tracking or even just portion control. This can matter a lot, okay? Because again, your body composition is going to come down to how much you're consuming and how much you're moving. Your body doesn't really give a shit about eating gluten-free brownies or whatever the case, okay? What we need is the right amount of calories coming in and the right amount of calories coming out. This matters, and it matters a lot, okay? We have tons of science that tells us, yes, in order to lose fat, we need to be in a calorie deficit, okay? So we need awareness, we need some kind of portion control, and we need some kind of structure, okay? So this is totally fixable, y'all. But again, we need to realize that eating clean is not going to promise fat loss, okay? It's going to come down to how much you're eating. So drop me a number 2 in the comments. If you guys are here watching the live stream, if you identify with, but I eat healthy, let me know, because I know I've been there before. It's really, really freaking frustrating. All right, moving on. We're halfway there, guys. All right, so let's actually do this one. So I actually posted this in our Facebook group, and I posted this to my Instagram page as a carousel post. So originally I only had 3 avatars, okay, or I guess they're patterns, like behavior patterns. I decided I'm going to add a 4th one, and we're going to go ahead and talk about that one now. And I think this is important because I kind of had one combined, but anyway, we're going to add another one, and because I really think that this one's an important one, and I've been there before. Okay, so number 3 is the cardio queen. Okay, this woman, she loves a sweaty workout. She's always going to choose cardio over weights, and she goes to boot camp classes or HIIT classes, basically cardio with weight classes. I'm sorry, but that's what they are. HIIT classes and boot camp classes, it's essentially cardio with weights because there's not a lot of rest. You're doing things like supersets, or you're doing things like putting cardio in between your strength moves. That's cardio with weights, okay? So here's the problem with that. It's fine if you like those types of workouts, okay? So I'm not saying that you need to stop doing these workouts. I'm not saying that these workouts are bullshit or whatever. Here's what I'm saying. If you want physique change, if you want less body fat, you want more muscle, you want to look toned, you want to actually look like you work out, these classes or doing a bunch of cardio is not going to give you the body that you want, okay? So the problem is your body isn't changing because you're not building enough muscle with these workouts to actually change your shape, okay? So we're talking about excess cardio, so any kind of cardio like lots of elliptical, jump rope, that type of thing. We're also talking about HIIT and boot camp classes, okay? Or those types of styles of workouts, all right? It's not enough stimulus. For the reasons I listed, it's usually not enough rest with boot camp and HIIT classes. It's, again, you're adding cardio to the mix. And a lot of times you're just like going from one workout to like one exercise to another. So you're doing like a circuit type situation here. It is not enough stimulus for you to put on muscle mass, okay? Can you build some muscle with these workouts? Sure, you probably could. But if you, like I said, if you want to actually look toned, it's probably not going to be enough, okay? And I say this with love because I want to be clear about this, that it's not you, it's what you're doing, okay? So don't think that, oh, I just have shitty genetics or I'm over 40 so I can't build muscle. No, that's not true. More than likely, you're probably stuck in one of these patterns. So again, these classes or doing a lot of cardio, that is not going to change your physique because it's not going to build enough muscle to get that toned look, okay? So what does this woman need? She actually needs less cardio, okay? So actually, I would even say even if you want to lose fat, cardio is not actually necessary. What I think is necessary is controlling calories and walking. Those are really the 2 main things, okay? Is cardio going to speed up the fat loss process? Yes, but weight training should always be prioritized. And this does not matter if your goal is fat loss or not. If your goal is fat loss, the focus is still the same. Focus on getting those weight training workouts in. Focus on lifting heavy, lifting with progressive overload, and being consistent with that, okay? Because even if fat loss is your goal, you want to make sure you're maintaining your muscle mass, and even building more muscle would be great, right? As you lose weight. So we want to do that by making sure that we are having enough stimulus to the muscle, and that's really going to be traditional style weight training, being consistent with that, resting long enough, and following a plan that is designed for muscle growth, okay? Very, very important. So it's one thing to work out for fun or general health, and it's a whole other thing if you want body recomposition, if you want less fat, more muscle, you want more shape and tone, okay? 2 different things here, all right? So here's what we need to do I think we already mentioned less cardio, and we need to be weight training with progressive overload. So we talked about this in the Lean Physique Challenge in day 1. Progressive overload it's not just lifting heavy, but we want to progress, right? We want to make sure that we are increasing the weight, yes, but also things like range of motion, bigger range of motion, improving our form, more time under tension. All of these things do matter, and they matter a lot. And then finally, yes, we need some kind of plan for muscle growth. So like we talked about in the Lean Physique Challenge in day 1, we talked about how actually following the same workout over and over for weeks, if not months, guys, I change my workout hardly ever, okay? I'm doing hip thrusts twice a week. I'm doing deadlifts, Roman chair twice a week. I'm doing things like squats or lunges twice a week, right? So I do the same workout over and over and over. But the thing is that, again, if you want your workouts to be fun, that's one thing. But if you actually want your body to change, it's actually repeating workouts. It's following the same plan and not just switching it up because you're feeling bored that day. Okay. So that is the cardio queen. I know I've been there. I've totally, even as a personal trainer, I thought that muscle confusion was a good thing. I was always doing a different workout every day. I was doing like a lot of high rep stuff, and the weight load was actually really too light. And I was doing a lot of HIIT type workouts as well. And I'm going to tell you right now, I was lean back then, but I actually didn't have a lot of muscle, so I didn't look that great. I did not have any glutes on me. I was really just kind of skinny fat. So I felt like I was in good shape, but at the same time, I didn't like how my body looked because I didn't have the muscle tone. I didn't have this tight, defined look that I actually have more now that I'm following an actual plan for muscle growth. So let me know if you identify with the cardio queen. Drop me a 3 in the comments if you're here live with me or watching the replay. All right, so we have one more pattern, and we're here live. We're talking about the patterns that I see over and over as a perimenopause coach that is really going to help me determine very quickly who's actually going to see results and who's going to get frustrated again. Because again, this isn't about slapping a label on these identities. This is really more about habit loops, because when we're stuck in these habit loops, it makes it really difficult to get out of. This is why I wanted to come live here today, because I want to bring this to your attention, because once you realize what's happening, then you can get out of these patterns, okay? And again, this is really frustrating because all of these patterns have something in common. These people are actually putting in effort. They're trying to eat healthy. They're going to the gym or lifting weights at home. They're being consistent even, but their body isn't changing. So that's why I wanted to come live here, because as a personal trainer for the last 16 years, and I've been working with women 40 to 55 this whole time, and within the last 6 years, I've shifted to specializing with perimenopausal women. Because I remember at 39, I remember feeling the start of these symptoms, and I had a lot of questions for myself. And I was looking around at my clients that were my age and older and seeing all the things that they were dealing with, and I was paying attention to the questions they were asking me. And that's when I started digging into this back in 2020. I wanted fucking answers, okay? But we have one more thing. I think I kind of forgot what I was saying there. But these are the patterns I see over and over. But we have one more to go over, and that is the struggling lifter, okay? So listen very carefully, because this person is trying. They're actually consistent with the weights even. But you're consistent with lifting weights, but nothing is changing, okay? So meaning you're not seeing any more muscle tone. You're not looking any more lean. Here's what's really happening, okay? If you're the struggling lifter, you're lifting 2, 3, 4, 5 days a week, but your body isn't changing, you're probably not lifting heavy enough, okay? There's no real progression. So we talked a little bit about this earlier. Guys, your body is adaptable, okay? So not only is your metabolism adaptable, but your muscles are adaptable as well. So meaning if you are not continuously challenging it, okay? Even if you've been lifting weights for years, okay? I still have to really push Okay. And I'm still seeing progression even after 20 years of lifting. But you have to lift heavy enough and you have to step out of your comfort zone. Like you should be grunting. I get stares when I'm at the gym because I grunt. And there's not a lot of people that grunt, and there's sure as hell not a lot of women that grunt. But I tell you what, that has made all the fucking difference. I was convinced that I was going to have flat ass for the rest of my life. But honestly, it has only been in the last 3 years that I actually started to see a little bit of glute growth. And no one in my family has glutes. Everyone's like this, okay? And it's really because I had to fix my nutrition, first of all, because I was a chronic dieter, and that fucked me up for a long time. But I also was not pushing myself hard enough. That has made all the difference. My body looks completely different just like within 3 years, okay? Because I've been, again, following the same plan, following a plan for muscle growth and stepping out of my comfort zone and really pushing myself. Yes, you do need to do that in order to get that tight tone look that you're looking for, okay? Another thing that could be happening with the struggling lifter, it could also be that you're not active enough outside of workout. So I see this a lot. You might actually be building muscle. So it could be happening, but if you have fluff over it, so meaning you're not walking enough, or maybe you're overeating somewhere, whether that's like at night or on the weekend, sometimes that can happen too. So this could be a disconnect with your nutrition is basically what I'm saying. So you could be even checking the boxes. So maybe you are lifting heavy. Maybe you are keeping track of your lifts. You're progressing them. But if your nutrition's off, you're consuming too many calories in one way or another, yeah, you're going to have too much body fat over your muscles. So meaning you're probably not seeing the results that you want because you have excess body fat, okay? Finally, here's another thing that could be happening. We're still talking about the struggling lifter, the person who actually works out and lifts heavy weights or lifts weights 2, 3, 4, 5 times a week. Poor form. Okay. I see this a lot because if you're self-taught, not that there's anything wrong with it. I'm self-taught as well. I'm going to tell you right now, it takes longer if you're going to do it on your own. It took me a long time to fix things and realize I was not doing things right. Okay. So form matters a lot because if you are not engaging the right muscles, if you don't have big enough range of motion, you're probably not going to feel the muscles correctly. You're probably not going to tax the muscles enough, right? So that's why it's really important that if you know your form is off or you're not seeing results, it's worth something to work with a coach or a trainer to make sure that you're doing things correctly. This really can make a big difference because, yeah, it's absolutely possible to be training 5 days a week, lifting weights, and not seeing any body change because your form is just shit, okay? Absolutely possible, okay? So here's what the struggling lifter actually needs. She needs progressive overload, so she needs to make sure that she is tracking her lifts, increasing the weight, improving her time under tension, and also her form over time. She needs structured training, so a plan for muscle growth. And she also might need to just increase her NEAT. So NEAT is activities of daily living. So she might just need to walk a little bit more. So, or maybe she needs to control calories a little bit more, right? Because again, you can be working out consistently, even 5 days a week, but if you are overeating or you're not moving enough, yeah, you're probably going to have excess calorie or you're probably going to have excess body fat. So let me know in the comments, okay? I want you guys, if you're here live or watching the replay in our group, drop a 1, 2, 3, or 4 into the comments, okay? So we're just going to do a quick recap. So we're talking about the patterns that I see with women who struggle with fat loss and building muscle in perimenopause. 1, we have the chronic dieter, the woman who is always on a diet, or this could be the woman who starts dieting every Monday only to find herself off track every Friday or every weekend. Drop a 1 in the comments if that's you. All right, drop a 2 in the comments if you identify with, but I eat healthy. This is the person who is eating gluten-free granola, or maybe they even shun away from processed foods pretty much altogether, right? Whole30, keto, that type of thing, right? Like only eating whole foods, but you have zero awareness. There might be some bites, licks, and tastes in there, and you have no idea what your portion control is. Drop a 2 in the comments, okay? Then we talked about the cardio queen was number 3. This woman, she loves cardio. She usually, she almost always chooses it over weightlifting. She might be scared to lift heavy. She chases sweat. She likes sweaty workouts. And she loves her boot camp and HIIT classes. So drop a 3 if that is you. And then finally, we have the struggling lifter. This person is consistent with weight training, but their body never changes. And they don't really understand what the problem is. And we talked about how it could be not lifting enough. We talked about it could be that you're just program hopping and you're not really following a plan, which that can cause some frustration. And it could also be that you have bad form or you're just not moving enough outside of workouts. So if you're the struggling lifter, let me know by popping a 4 into the comments. But that is it for today, y'all. I just wanted to bring this to your attention because, like I said, I have been in all of these patterns at one point, and sometimes I was in multiple of them. But again, the reason why this is such a big deal is because this isn't just like, oh, like I'm just not losing weight. No, it's like these people are actually putting in a fucking effort. And it's really frustrating because you're trying to make changes to your nutrition. You're consistent with lifting weights, right? Like that is a big deal. And I want to highlight this because, guys, I understand how frustrating that can be. When you're doing all the things, you're checking all the boxes, but nothing ever changes. Your progress photos look the same month after month. And the worst thing is that you're actually like tightening up things. Like, oh, maybe I just need to cut calories more, or maybe I need to go to another class every week, or maybe I need to tack on cardio on all of my workouts, right? So we start to kind of dig ourselves into this hole. And we start getting really frustrated because now we're just doing more fucking stuff and things still aren't changing. So again, I want to let you all know that it's not that you can't change your body. It's probably just that you're stuck in one of these patterns, or it could be a mix of these. Or maybe you're jumping from one to the other. So that's exactly what is keeping you stuck. There's nothing that I have that you can't have. It's really just identifying what patterns that you're stuck in and dismantling them. And there is a way to do it because, like I said, I've been in all of these and I am out of all of them now. Okay? It is absolutely possible. And that's exactly what we do inside of Lean Physique. So I want you guys to do this. If this was helpful, give me some kind of way of knowing. Put a heart in the comments or give me a like on this video if you're here watching the live. But what I want you all to do, if you want to go a little bit deeper, download a Leaner Fitter You. So I'm going to drop that into the comments of this Facebook group. I'm also, if you guys are listening to this on my podcast, I'm going to put that in the show notes. But this is a free 2-part training that I actually did in this private Facebook group, Lean and Strong in Perimenopause. And one part is training and the other part is nutrition. This walks you through exactly what I do as a 45-year-old woman in perimenopause to stay lean and strong. And not only that, but continue to improve my physique. So if that's what you want, go ahead and grab that free resource. It walks you through everything you need to know in order to get yourself on track with body recomposition 40+. I truly hope this was helpful, and I look forward to talking with you soon. All right, bye for now.